So we're gonna be talking about the reports that Anthony Slater from the Athletic, Sam and Mack also from the Athletic. I believe ESPN's Brian Windhorst has also touched on this. Basically, the Phoenix Suns still could get Jimmy Butler, but this is a Golden State Warriors video. And I know we touched on the Warriors allegedly being interested in LeBron and Durant, but in reality, they're really just trying to find anybody to pair with Steph Curry, as they just want to maximize the end of his career. And I think the biggest thing there is when you're looking at him is that I think you can tell that the Warriors read the tea leaves, like everyone's put it out there, and the Suns are aware that Kevin Durant was traded to Phoenix in February 2023. It's been 2 years since Kevin Durant's been in Phoenix. He will be an expiring contract next year. Is he going to resign there? And even then, did it go according to plan? Phoenix didn't become the contender they thought they'd be. So as a result, I think the deal that we're hearing is first Matt Ishbia being the new owner syndrome and wanting to have a championship team. B, you have Michigan State alumni Draymond Green. And the two deals you're hearing are centered around either Draymond Green or an Andrew Wiggins package. So it seems like, okay, if it's just the Suns and the Warriors doing a deal, it could just be a Draymond Green, Gary Payton, Kevon Looney, Jonathan Kuminga deal. Obviously, draft picks included, maybe even Brandon Podojemski. While if it's a 3-team deal where Butler goes to the Suns, Durant to the Warriors, then it would be a Wiggins deal to the Heat and probably just have Gary Payton and Kevon Looney. And I don't know what Kuminga's standing would be in that case, but I just look at it and it makes sense. Also, the internet sleuths have done a good job. I don't think this has any merit, but sometimes it does. And I don't really ever mention it, but supposedly Kevin Durant has unfollowed all and unposted, I guess, all of his Phoenix Suns related posts. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know. I think again it comes down to this being a lot of just the Warriors supposedly turning over every stone possible, which makes sense. They have to do something. And to me, if you look at the situation, they can get themselves Durant. It really does at least raise the floor and the ceiling at the same time. I have said the best low risk with medium to high reward player out there is Nikola Vucevic. I just think the Bulls also knew that, and the Bulls are then just trying to leverage that and get a better deal. As a result, I think it's so how it's going in that approach, and maybe the Warriors have that as their plan B if this Kevin Durant plan doesn't come through. I just think a lot of teams are acting on the notion that the NBA, especially the Western Conference, is wide open, which is going to allow a lot of teams to have the opportunity to really take this opportunity into getting a championship, unlike we've seen, because I think we were so accustomed from the last decade or so to really have the same teams on repeat contending for a championship. And again, Durant and Curry, they're closer to 40 than they are to 35. So I think that would, what would end up happening is that it would allow you to think about the fact that they would be a team that definitely would go ahead and be able to think about that could be an opportunity to improve their current standings in terms of elevating to team's talent level. Yeah, you would lose Draymond Green or Andrew Wiggins. Personally, I think losing Draymond Green at this stage. Look, I love Draymond. I know he's a culture guy, but his defense isn't what it used to be. Everything about him isn't as impactful as it used to be. So, with that being said, I think you could really make the case that just moving on from him slowly might be the best course of option because you'd be able to allow Trace Jackson Davis and the other guys, and plus bring in other players to finally just go back to the old Warriors way of center by committee, which I think when they had center by committee with Kevin Durant, it was way better. It allowed them to play a different style of basketball that would make them the team that they enjoyed and had like the flexibility and the versatility. Just because I just think having Trace out there gives them such a different look. Plus, then they elevate Quinn Post. So right there, you have Trace Jackson Davis, Quinn Post. You go sign someone like Bismack Biyombo in free agency. Not that bad. Or Moses Brown. It's easy to put together. It's easy to think. And I personally think that's one of the easier courses of action. Or they could really just find a big man in the free agent, but not free agent trade market, like Duke Reith or I would love for them to somehow be able to get like a Carlo Matakovic from the Pelicans or an Adam Bona from the Sixers, because that would allow them to have a bit more versatility with their size and stuff. So I definitely think they have a lot of options at work if they were to do a Kevin Durant trade. Just because we know how lethal that team was, and with Curry and Durant just both being still in the upper echelons. I mean, obviously they're not like their peak selves, but they're still pretty fucking good. Then I think like you look at the whole situation, why wouldn't they make this trade? I think it's one of the few trades that everyone would be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because together, the best 7-foot shooter in the world next to the best shooter in the world, and you just fill the rest of the roster with young guys who are willing to run the floor, like Moses Moody, Trace Jackson Davis. You got shooters like Quinn Post. You bring, Pat Spencer. You still have Buddy Hield. You still have Kyle Anderson. You'd be able to, so was Dennis Schroeder is open for trade, and if they do flip Dennis Schroeder for someone, they can bring in more defense. Like call up like the Rockets and be like, we'll take Jayshawn Tate and Aaron Holiday if you take Dan Schroeder. And there you go. You get 2 perimeter attack players in terms of defenders right there. And I think that's like a huge thing that will help you, because the way this roster would work is they would just need some perimeter defense to help alleviate the loss of all this. But I actually think this would be really good. Let me hear your thoughts. We're just speculating here.